The barbell crashed to the mat like a gunshot in the dead of night, echoing off the empty gym walls as Hunter's fingers dug into my shoulders, his breath hot against my ear. "Don't you dare walk away from this, Christian. Not now." My heart hammered so loud I swore he could hear it, the weight of his words pinning me harder than any deadlift ever had. And in that split second, I realized the real betrayal wasn't his secret. It was mine, for believing I could outrun the truth we'd both been chasing. It started 6 months ago, back when Brooklyn felt like a cage I couldn't punch my way out of. I'd just turned 28, fresh off a breakup that left me hollowed out like one of those gutted fish you see on the docks down by the East River. My ex, Jake, had bailed with some line about needing space to figure out who he was. But we both knew it was code for him dipping into the straight world again, chasing skirts and Bushwick bars while I nursed bruises on my ego and my knuckles from too many solo sparring sessions in my cramped Greenpoint apartment. Therapy? Yeah, right. I tried it once, but the shrink droned on about internalized homophobia, like it was a weather report. What I needed was sweat, iron, and something solid to grip onto that wouldn't ghost me at dawn. That's how I ended up at Ironclad Gym, this no-frills spot wedged between a halal cart and a laundromat on Atlantic Avenue. It wasn't one of those bougie Equinox joints with yoga mats and kale smoothies. No, Ironclad was pure blue-collar grit, the kind of place where truckers and firefighters grunted through sets while Springsteen blasted from a boombox in the corner. I signed up for personal training on a whim, figuring it'd force me to show up somewhere besides my couch. The receptionist, a wiry woman named Rita with tattoos snaking up her arms like Brooklyn Stoops, handed me off to Hunter without a second glance. Hunter Reyes. God, even saying his name now twists something in my chest. He was 32, built like he was forged in the same fire that hardened the steel beams of the Brooklyn Bridge. Broad shoulders tapering to a waist you could wrap your hands around. Skin the color of caramelized sugar from summers surfing out in Rockaway. His eyes were this impossible blue, like the sky over Coney Island on a clear day, and his hair? Cropped close on the sides, a little longer on top, always tousled like he'd just rolled out of a fight or a fever dream. He wasn't the type to flash a megawatt smile. His grin was crooked, earned, the kind that said he'd seen enough street scraps in the Bronx to know charm was a weapon, not a gift. Our first session, he sized me up like I was a puzzle he didn't trust. "Christian Hale, huh? You look like you punch walls more than weights. What's the damage?" I muttered something about stress relief, avoiding his gaze as he chalked up his hands. He didn't push, just launched into a brutal circuit. Squats that burned like holy hell, pull-ups that had me cursing under my breath, and planks where he'd bark, "Breathe through it, man. Pain's just your body yelling it's alive." By the end, I was soaked, shaking, but for the first time in months, I felt seen. Not pitted, not fixed, just witnessed. Week 2, he started weaving in stories between sets. Hunter grew up in a walk-up in Mott Haven. Dad a MTA mechanic who drank too much after shifts. Mom a nurse who stitched up the neighborhood kids for free. "Gays weren't a thing in my house," he said once, spotting me on the bench press. His voice low so the old-timers at the dumbbell racks wouldn't catch it. "You were either tough or invisible." I chose tough. I nodded, spotting the scar above his eyebrow from a misunderstanding behind a dive bar in '09. We didn't say it outright, but there was this current humming between us, like the third rail on the subway tracks. Dangerous, electric, impossible to ignore. By month 2, the sessions blurred into something more. We'd linger after, grabbing slices at Luigi's down the block, grease dripping onto paper plates as we talked about everything and nothing. He confessed he'd bounced around jobs, bartending in Hell's Kitchen, coaching Little League in Queens, always running from the itch under his skin. I dated a girl in college, thought it'd stick. Spoiler, it didn't. His laugh was bitter like black coffee. I shared my own wreckage, coming out at 17 to parents who loved me but froze like deer in headlights. The parade of apps that promised connection but delivered ghosts. One night, under the sodium glow of a street lamp, he brushed my arm. Casual, accidental. And I swear the air crackled. "You're solid, Chris," he murmured. "Don't let the world chip that away." The romance crept in slow, like fog off the harbor. A hand on my lower back during a stretch that lasted too long. Shared headphones blasting the National during cooldowns, our knees knocking under the threadbare mats. Then, one rainy Thursday, the gym closed early for inventory, and we ended up at my place, steam rising from mugs of diner coffee on my fire escape. The city thrummed below. Honks from the BQE, laughter spilling from a rooftop party. And Hunter leaned in, his lips tentative against mine. It wasn't fireworks. It was a dam breaking. Slow, deep kisses that tasted like salt and second chances. His hands mapping my ribs like he was memorizing a route home. "I've wanted this," he whispered, forehead to mine. "But I can't promise it's easy." It wasn't. Hunter carried ghosts heavier than any plate I loaded on the bar. He was out to his sister in Philly, but the rest of his world? Closeted tight as a rusted lock. "My old man's got a heart condition," he'd say, pulling back after a makeout session in his truck parked by the Gowanus Canal. News like this? It'd kill him. I got it. Family's the fault line in every queer story from here to the Rockies. So we carved out our bubble. Stolen weekends hiking the Palisades, where he'd trace my collarbone with calloused fingers under picnic blankets. Lazy Sundays at the wave pool in Red Hook, splashing like kids while stealing glances that said more than words. He made me playlists. Springsteen deep cuts mixed with Hosier. And I'd leave voicemails when he worked late shifts, my voice cracking with, "Miss you already." But love in the shadows breeds suspicion. I'd catch him checking his phone mid-conversation, thumbs flying over texts he wouldn't explain. "Clients," he'd grunt, but his jaw would tighten like he was chewing glass. The conflict simmered, bubbling up in little fights. Me accusing him of half-in, him snapping that I didn't get the stakes. "You think I want this hide-and-seek bullshit? It's survival, Chris." I'd storm out, pounding pavement until my sneakers wore thin, only for him to show up at my door with takeout from that hole-in-the-wall faux spot, eyes pleading. "I'm in, all the way, just give me time." Time ran out on a humid August night, the kind where the air clings like regret. We'd planned a quiet dinner at my place. Steaks from the butcher on Court Street, a bottle of cab from the wine shop run by that drag queen from the Stonewall era. I was mid-saute when my phone buzzed. A text from a mutual buddy, Pete, who'd spotted Hunter at a bar in Williamsburg. Attached was a photo, blurry, but unmistakable. Hunter, arms slung around a guy who wasn't me, laughing with that crooked grin, the kind I'd thought was mine alone. Betrayal hit like a sucker punch to the solar plexus. I didn't wait for explanations. I grabbed my keys and bolted to Ironclad. The gym's back door propped open for the AC unit's hum. It was after hours, but Hunter was there, shadowboxing in the ring, sweat flying like accusations. "What the hell, Hunt?" I roared, the words tearing out raw. He froze, gloves dropping with a thud. "Chris, it's not." But I cut him off, shoving the phone in his face. The guy in the photo, his cousin from Jersey, visiting for the weekend. Innocent. Family thing. But the real gut-wrencher? The texts Pete forwarded. Hunter venting to an old hookup about keeping things light with Chris, 'cause commitment's a trap. He'd been playing both sides, not just with the world, but with me. The cousin story was true, but the doubt he'd planted? That was the knife twist. We exploded. He lunged forward, grabbing my arms to steady us both, but I wrenched free, backing into the weight rack. Plates clattered, one tumbling free and shattering a mirror. 7 years bad luck, or maybe just the reflection of us breaking. "You think I don't want this?" Hunter yelled, voice cracking like thunder over the Verrazano. "Every damn day, I fight to be the man you see, the one who deserves you, but I'm scared. Okay? Scared I'll fuck it up like I always do." Tears streaked his face, mixing with sweat, and for the first time, I saw the boy from Mott Haven, not the unbreakable trainer. It gutted me. Here was this man who'd rebuilt me plank by plank, and I'd let my fears turn him into a villain. The climax crashed over us like a nor'easter. I collapsed against the mat, sobs ripping free, and he dropped beside me, pulling me into his chest. "I should have told you everything," he choked out. "The doubts, the ex who cheated and blamed me for being too much. I didn't want to drag you down." We clung there, the gym's fluorescents buzzing like angry hornets, the city outside a distant roar. Hours passed in whispers. Apologies layered thick as fog, promises forged in the wreckage. He swore he'd come out to his dad that weekend, no more half measures. I vowed to trust the bridge we were building, not burn it at the first spark. Dawn crept in through the grimy windows, painting us in bruised purples and golds. We walked out together, arms linked like it was the most natural thing, past Rita flipping on the lights with a knowing nod. Hunter drove me home, his hand on my thigh the whole way, steady as the rumble of the subway beneath our feet. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. No grand gestures under the Empire State, no rings exchanged in Central Park. But as we parted with a kiss that tasted like redemption, I felt the shift. From fractured to whole, from hiding to holding on. Months later, Hunter's dad took the news like a champ. Heart condition be damned. He showed up to our first Pride March with a rainbow flag pinned to his Mets cap, bellowing, "That's my boy!" over the din of floats and cheers. We're still at Ironclad, spotting each other through sets, but now the touches linger openly. A thumb brushing my jaw post-workout. A stolen squeeze in the locker room that draws whistles from the regulars. Life in this messy, magnificent city? It's still a grind. Bills stacking like plates on the bar, doubts whispering in the quiet hours. But Hunter taught me that love isn't about predicting the fall. It's about catching each other when it comes. And in the end, that's the real lift. Not the weight, but the way we rise together.